What's good, YouTube? We got a 2018 Road Glide with the stator's gone out. We are going to replace the stator and the voltage regulator. Right here on the table we got some tools that we're going to need. We got various bits, some picks, some snap ring pliers, other various bits, ratchets, some sockets. We got our parts here. We're also going to be doing some maintenance on the bike. May not be this video, may be a separate video, but we got oil change, pretty much a 3-hole. So we got oil change, primary, and transmission. Then I also have to do some brake work as well. I got front pads here, and then we've got brake fluid. We're going to go ahead and change that out. We're going to be using Daytona Twin Tech for that. We'll see if we can get these brakes running a little bit better. We also got our various gaskets and things. So let's dive right in. We got to take this footboard off. We got to take this outer primary cover off, and then once we get inside there, we'll take some more things off. I've been letting this bike drain for about the past 24 to 36 hours. Already had that off. So we're going to take this footboard off first. We got a 5/16 bit. We've got 2 bolts down here. We need to, you don't have to take them all the way off. I'm going to. You can usually just loosen them and let them lay to the side, but I'm going to take them all the way off. So you just mainly need to get out of the way so you can get in that primary with no issues. And how we got to just the symptoms I ran into to find out this thing had the stator going bad. I was on my way to work a couple days ago and looked down and noticed that my battery light was on. It was glowing red. I was reading right at 12 volts on the gauge. So got to work, pulled my meter out of my box at work, went up here, started the bike back up, and I pulled the plug. I'll show you the plug in just a second. But I shut the bike off first and measured continuity ground off each leg because it's a 3-hole stator, a 3-phase stator. It's got three holes in it. Well, I got continuity, which is not a good thing. So I took from then and I started the bike up, and at idle, you're supposed to be getting between about 16 and 28 volts AC. Well, on one leg, I was getting 4 volts AC. So it means my charging system wasn't charging, doing what it was supposed to do. We're gonna set that right there. But if you look right here, this plug, I don't know how well you can see. You push this little locking tab back, and this plug comes out. And 3 holes, 1 for each phase. Runs into the strap right there in the frame that comes in through here. So once we pull all this out, we'll have to work all that back out. Install the new one. This is our voltage regulator. We'll eventually exchange that as well. So we got the footboard off. Now we're going to pull off this primary cover. got the cover off, we need to take on this tensioner right here and we need to zip tie it down so it doesn't, as we remove all of this stuff out, it doesn't go to expand. Here we need to pull this snap ring. This bigger snap ring is right here. It's going to pull this out. It's going to open up the nut that we need to pull the clutch basket. This is a 1 3/16 nut. You are going to turn to the right as it's reverse thread to loosen it. To keep things from spinning, we're going to take this stopper block. We're going to set it in here. Remember, reverse thread, we're going to turn to the right to loosen. Yeah, we can pull this out as well. Next, we're going to take a T70 Torx bit, loosen this. This will be a regular bolt, so left's loosen. But we're going to take our stopper block and move it from here and turn around and place it in here to keep things from spinning as we try to loosen this. Pull this whole assembly out together. Now when you pull these out, these washers, hang on a second. When you pull these washers out, they go a certain way, so everything you pull out, make sure you set them up so you can pull them all back, put them back in at the same way. Out. This is our rotor, that's our stator. Alright, now that we got everything off, the clutch basket, the compensator, all the washers, everything else over here on this side, we need to pull our rotor and our stator. But on this primary, we have a lip down here that's keeping our rotor from coming out. So we're gonna have to pull the inner primary as well. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sealing screws, but we also need to pull the starter bolt on the back and pull the starter. So we're gonna do the starter first, then we'll come around, we'll pull this. We're gonna try to get away without pulling the tensioner. I don't think we're gonna have to. We'll see. All right, the starter's 2 bolts. We have one right here, it's got a 1/4 inch, they're both 1/4 inch. We can now take and pull our ceiling bolts, which are 1/2 inch. One other thing that we're going to have to do now that I'm sitting here looking at it is we're going to have to pull our linkage also. So before I pull all those out, I want to pull the linkage off first. Alright, so to pull my linkage, I have a Green Brothers design linkage. I've got ARP bolts, so I've got a 3/8 12-point socket, and then I've got a 1/2 inch wrench to go on the back side. Just let this swing. Now that that's disconnected, I can pull these other 5 bolts off. Once I get those off, I should be able to pull the primary, or the inner primary. There's my inner primaries off. It opens everything up on this left side now. Now with everything off of here, my gasket came off with the inner primary. You may still have a gasket here. You need to remove it. The other thing that I'm going to do once I get this section finished is I'm going to take and do some maintenance on this, double check the tightness of this bolt, make sure nothing's going on here while I'm in here. That way, because if this goes, you got to do anything, there's a seal in here also to check. While you're in here, check it. That way, if you've got to do anything, you're already in here. So now we're going to take 2 large picks, pull the rotor off. Alright, got my rotor off. Take a quick inspection of it. Set it off to the side. Stator bolts are a T27. Stator bolts are loose. We can take and pull this off now. Now we got to try to work our plug from here back through. Then we have to loosen this cable clamp right here, or cable tie, so we can work it back through that away. Free everything up so it comes back out. Alright, here's my stator. You can flip it over. You can see we definitely had a failure on those two nodes. Oh, let's get everything wiped down, cleaned up, and throw the new one in. Alright, so the bolts that we pulled out are supposed to be one-time use for the stator. I knew that. I had planned on new bolts coming with the stator with them being one-time use, but that's not the case. So I'm going to install the new stator and just leave it in there till tomorrow when I can go get more stator bolts. And then I also need to get a gasket for the inner primary to the crankcase. So the manual says to take some Windex or window cleaner and to squirt in the hole that the plug goes in, and then to squirt the hole, to either use this or alcohol, or not but the plug. So we squirt the plug, get it good and lubricated. The barn shield will go out. So we start our connector in. You'll know where it'll get to where it's supposed to be because this little piece will have ears that come out. We got our plug in. Just make sure it's all the way through like it's supposed to be. Make sure your barn shield is out. This is where we will take and pick up once I get the bolts. We'll take and put those in. We can go ahead and route this back around. Now you can cut this off. What I did was just pulled the little tab back to where I could reuse it. You don't have to reuse it if you don't want to. That's now reconnected. This will go in here. There's another look at our connection. We're going to change the voltage regulator also, so I'm not going to connect it right now. One thing I also need to pick up that I just completely had a lapse in my brain when I went to get everything was we need dielectric grease for this connection from here to here. I'm sure we'll need some for the other side as well. So I'll pick up, for you guys it'll probably be just a second or two, but I will pick up tomorrow once I get the rest of the parts I need. Alright, it's a couple days later. I've got some sinus things going on, so if my voice is all jacked up, that'd be why. Got some new stator mounting screws here, and then I also got some new primary housing sealing screws, because those are also one-time use. So we'll get all this stuff installed. The stator torque spec is 55 to 75 inch-pounds. We've got the torque wrench set to 65. And again, it's a T27. before I go to reinstall the primary housing, I'm gonna pull this shifter shaft off. Or not the shifter shaft, the shifter lever. I'm gonna pull it off just to make sure everything's good in there while I've got it out. Go ahead and clean all this up real quick, reinstall it, then we'll go on about putting the housing back together. Alright, this bolt right here is a 1/4 inch Allen head. We can take and remove that. This isn't something you have to do, just one of those things it's good to do while you're in here. So at that point we can pull our linkage, our shifter shaft. You inspect everything in here. Make sure we don't have any leaks or any damage of anything going on. Take and clean this up. Alright, we're going to install this pinch screw back in here and then torque it down to 20 foot-pounds. Alright, I got the new crankcase gasket here. We've got 2 dowel pins that we need to line up here and here. But first we need to take and put a small film of oil around it, around the rubber seal on it. Got that installed. We'll grab the inner primary housing and throw on there. Before I forget, we also need to put the rotor back on before we put the inner primary housing back together. Take and line it up on the splines. Keep your fingers out of the way and it'll snap in. Alright, we're going to reinstall our inner primary housing now. The other thing that we're also going to do is take a small film of oil and put inside of our shaft gasket that's on the housing, which is right here. These are our new screws. Come from Harley. They've already got the sealant or locking agent inside of them. These go into a specific order and they adjust down, or they tighten down to 26 to 28 foot-pounds. So we're going to tighten these down now. We're going to tighten 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. At this step, we're going to start putting all our guts back in our primary here. This is still set up how we took it off. We've got our shaft extension. Various washers here. Now that we got all this back on here, we've got this lined up and kind of started in our grooves here. We got the block back in place. You're supposed to use a new bolt here. I don't have one, so I'm just going to attach some red Loctite to this one. We'll start it in here. All right, so as we're installing this, what we're going to do is we're going to end up torquing it down to 100 foot-pounds. Then we're going to take and back it off a half a turn. And then we are going to take and torque it again to 175 foot-pounds. So we got torque wrench set to 100. Now I'm going to back it off a half turn. Now we're going to do our final torque of 175. We need to move our block. Alright, now we're going to start our clutch main shaft nut. Remember, this is a reverse thread. It gets torqued down between 70 and 80 foot-pounds. It calls for 2 dots of red Loctite on the nut after you clean the threads. Alright, now that we got this torque back down to spec, take and install our shaft here. Before we push this in, I'm going to go ahead and get my snap ring and snap ring pliers set up. Alright, when you're installing this, you got to push down and then get the retaining clip in there. It's kind of a little bit of a pain, but that's what you got to do. Next, we're going to remove our zip tie here on our tensioner. We're just going to cut it off. I think should be good there. We have to still install our starter and then put our cover on and we can fill up with fluid. Alright, we got our starter back installed, 22 to 24 foot-pounds for those 2 bolts. Just push it back through, tighten them down. We got our new gasket on. We're going to put our primary cover on now. What I'm going to do is take 2 short bolts and just run them in real quick up top just to hold this in place. But we're going to take and put blue Loctite on all of these bolts that go around here. You've got 4 long ones. 1, 2, 3, and 4. The rest are, we're going to torque them down to 144 to 156 inch-pounds, or 12 to 13 foot-pounds. Alright, we got Loctite on bolts. We're going to start moving around. I'm going to pull these 2. I still got to put Loctite on those 2. After that, we're going to tighten everything up and install our drain plug. We're ready for fluid. Next, we're going to install our drain plug on the primary side. Take a 5/8 wrench or a 5/8 socket. We installed a new O-ring on this as well. And run it up in there. Make sure she's tight. You don't have to go overboard with it. You'll feel the O-ring tear if you do. Now we're ready for fluid. Bill Ray primary chain case lubricant here. The capacity is 34 ounces. We got 32 ounces in here, so we're just going to pour this bottle in. Our derby cover bolts here call for 84 to 108 inch-pounds. We went ahead and put a new gasket on. We're going to tighten these down. Alright, so our primary is done. Full of fluid. We got everything buttoned up on it. We still need to put our footboard on. And then from there we'll change our voltage regulator. Then we'll pump her full of dielectric grease and plug them up and get everything ready to go. Alright, we're going to reinstall our footboard here. We got a short screw and a long screw. Short goes in the back. Long screw goes towards the front. Torque spec is 36 to 42 foot-pounds. Also went and put a little blue Loctite on there as well. Alright, we're going to pull our voltage regulator now. We're going to start with these two bolts. We're going to drop them down. Once it drops that, we'll pull this off. We can get to the back side of the bolts for this. We're able to pull it. We've already got our stator loose. We'll just have to disconnect the other side. After you pull the two bolts, they go in right there. You then have to take and disconnect the upper coolant line. Right there, pull that back. You will have oil come out, so be ready to catch that. You'll also need to pull the lower cover that covers your oil cooler right there. And then you have two bolts on the bottom of this bracket right here that allows that to move out so that you can get to the 4 bolts that hold the voltage regulator. At that point, if you've already got the stator plug released, you can unclip the other plug and then pull it straight out the bottom. At that point, you can just pull everything out and swap everything as you need, and then you install in reverse. We got everything buttoned up. Here's the stator that we took out. You can see we've got a bad spot here, a bad spot here. Voltage regulator very well may not have been bad, but went ahead and changed it while we were in there. Just go ahead and get the whole charging system updated. Thanks for tuning in. Till next time.